Welcome. It's the top of the hour and we're going to get started. So I'm just going to move to the next of our slides and welcome everybody. So just in case, I want you to know that the topic today is coaching certification. So hopefully you've arrived at the right spot. And it's going to be, we're going to go into some detail as well as it will all be coming from our perspective at Coaching Out of the Box. And so, like I said, welcome. Oops, something just happened here. Just a second. Let me get back to my screen. There we go. So I'm gonna share just a little bit about myself, and I'm also going to introduce someone who is going to be managing the questions. So just hang on a second. I want to stop the share. There's a lot of information here about me, and what I do want to say is that you will be receiving, for all of you who registered for this webinar, you will be receiving the slide presentation and a follow-up email. So you can read some of this, and so sometimes I'll be going back and forth between showing slides and just talking with you more directly. And also what I want you to know is Sandra Mall is here. She is our fabulous admin manager and tech support person extraordinaire. And Sandra will be keeping track of the questions. And what I want you to know about the questions is if I can answer them while the webinar is happening, I absolutely will. And if I can't, I will answer them. We will take them and I will answer them in a follow-up communication to you. Hopefully that will work for everybody. And I'm assuming that everything is flowing well here. So just one sec. I want to just stop the share, and I want to just talk to you. And I somehow, hopefully it's showing my entire face on the screen. Sandra, can you let me know? Somehow I'm seeing a big sign of you. So I just want to make sure that it's working right. Yes, okay. Oh, Barry says, okay, so you can see me. Terrific. Okay, so some of you may know me, some of you may not, but I want to kind of just explain a little bit so that you can, what gives me the right to be speaking to you about this topic? Why would I be doing this? And I just want you to know that I've been in coaching about, over 20 years now, and got in the early days of coaching. I called it the Wild West of coaching. And at that time, there was a lot of people, when I said that I was a coach, they thought I was a soccer coach, etc. Now, thankfully, over all of these years, it's improved dramatically. People know it. People are recognizing the value of it. More and more organizations are also using it. And, we have a number of programs out there that people can take to become certified, hence this conversation. And I'm coming at it from my perspective of being in this field for 20 plus years, very involved in the largest association of coaches in the world, very committed to ensuring that it becomes a profession. It's actually an emerging profession still. And as I've watched the evolution of it, it's evolved to try to put rigor into, what has somebody call themselves a coach? So I've chaired international conferences for the ICF, done a lot of volunteering at the ICF to support them, the International Coach Federation, by the way, that's the name, and I'll be speaking a little bit more about that in a minute. And at the same time, I was charter faculty at the University of Texas at Dallas for the beginning of their executive coaching program that they started and helped that get going. And I also led the Railroads executive coaching program in Canada for 13 years, all the while coaching leaders and managers and entrepreneurs and business owners, etc., and developing coaching out of the box as well, because out of that experience of all my coaching experience, I recognized and became extremely passionate that everybody needs to learn this one way or another. Not everybody necessarily needs to become certified, but I want everyone to know this way of communication. And so I created Coaching Out of the Box, and it has evolved and grown, and now we've had over 17,000 people through some of our programs. And so that's a little bit about me. And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to know a little bit about you. In other words, who is attending who is attending this webinar. And it's just a few questions that I'm going to put up and launch, and it'll help me so that I can be sure that we create full value for you. So if you could just take a moment and answer the questions on the webinar, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to give it a few moments. Oh, this is getting so helpful. It's so interesting, and to see, and it's anonymous, by the way. We don't know who is, specifically who is answering the poll. So just know that as well. All right, so I'm just going to give it just a tiny bit more time. And then I'll stop it. So we've got almost many people, so we'll just give it a few more moments. And we will, okay, I think I'm going to, looks like just a couple more people are finishing the poll, which is great. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. And I hope you can see this. I'm going to share the results. And so it's just helpful too. There's some here that have an ICF credential. Most don't. That's fine. And you're ready, some of you are attending because you're ready to apply for a credential and want more clarification. Great, you've come to the right spot. You're new to coaching. Great, you've come to the right spot as well. And some of you are in our fast track to ICF credential. Fabulous. And I can see that about, as you can see, 60, okay, and these questions might not apply, and that is absolutely fine too. You want a different perspective. So perfect, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm assuming everybody's probably had a chance to see this, and I'm going to just stop sharing it and get into a little bit more meat. I'm going to get back to the screen and see if we can get back to where I was at. Oh yes, it's all about me. We'll move on from that. And yeah, this is our perspective. And this is our take, my opinion, based on a whole pile of experience, what I feel about this. And so that's what you're going to hear. And I guess the first piece about that is that I'm a fan of getting and in this case, an International Coach Federation credential. And the reason why I'm a fan of this is because when you're out there in the marketplace and you're either connecting with organizations or you're connecting with potential clients, it adds to your credibility. And even though not everyone is yet aware of some of this, it's reassuring for them. They can kind of go, okay, this person has gone through some rigor. They understand what coaching is. They've had to pass some sort of tests or some sort of a process. And that is why I'm a fan of actually getting an ICF certification. And I just need to click on something because I'm seeing, I just need to find, sometimes when I do this, the chat or some of these different areas disappear on me. And so bear with me. I'm just going to open the chat up again. And it looks like, yeah, it's okay. I think we're good. So, okay. So that, and having seen this over a number of years, I have traveled the world to do with coaching, that it's really affirmed to me that the smartest thing anyone can do who gets into coaching, who wants to be a coach, meaning, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, wants to be a professional coach, that the smartest thing you can do is to get an ICF certification. And the reason why I'm saying that, and you saw that, and here's what we're going to cover too. The reason why I'm saying that is because to date, it's the most known the ICF, the International Coach Federation, is the most known professional association of coaches. It exists in over 90 plus countries. So it's all over the world, and it has spent a great deal of time. And by the way, I do not work for the ICF. I'm just a big fan of it. And it's all over the world. People know about it, and it's gaining more and more. People are recognizing that, and they're asking for it. And if you want to work, for example, in organizations, or you want to work with organizations in providing coaching services to them, what is happening more and more is they are asking, they are literally mentioning, well, what certification do you have? And there's numerous programs and courses and things that you can take out there. So some of those will provide you with certain credentials and so on. And one of the best ways, I think, is to get that ICF credential, because then you're definitely rubber stamped, and it opens more doors because it's more known. Not everybody knows about it, but it's definitely becoming more and more known. So as you can see, I want to cover a number of these areas in our conversation today. And I'm also trying to also pay attention if I see any questions coming up. Although, like I said, I can also answer them later as well. And just a reminder, you will all get the recording, and you will all get the PowerPoint, because there's a lot of information. And why I do this webinar is because I've had so many people contact me over the years. It's confusing. It can get very, very confusing. We're also going to provide you with a few links to read up more, but it can get quite confusing. And there were some recent changes that can sort of, if you were more aware of some of the requirements before, that can kind of impact you. But anyway, the other thing is that I've said here, how do you get the most out of it? Well, you'll get the most out of it by making sure people are aware that that is what you have. So that, for example, you put it beside your name. Whatever type of credential, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, but whatever it is that you have, put it beside your name, mention it, talk about what you've done to become a coach, and meaning a credentialed coach. What have you done? Make sure people are aware of it. Make sure that it's on your website. Make sure it's on your business card. Make sure it's on any of the materials that you use. And this can also apply when you're either external and you're promoting your coaching services. You're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, and you're offering coaching services. Or it can you certainly should be doing it as well if you're internal. You're building up your credibility within the organization that you work with, and you want them to know that you have achieved a certain level of credentialing. It also, I think it's really important, it also demonstrates that you have a commitment to this, that you've invested your own time, effort, resources, etc. And you really want to be a professional coach. I think it as well, and we're getting this happening a lot more now as people have become more aware of the profession. We are getting a lot more people who are in organizations, who are in senior positions or director level positions or manager positions, or want to be in some of those more senior kinds of positions. And they're recognizing that this is an excellent thing to have on your resume, and because more and more organizations are looking for that, especially in anybody that they're wanting to have in leadership roles. We've had this comment quite significantly. It's grown quite significantly, I would say, in the last 3 to 5 years, where we've seen this growing and growing. And the other thing is that what we've also seen happen is that directors, managers, leaders, et cetera, are also saying to themselves, once I'm ready to maybe retire or leave an organization, if they're in organizations, this is a nice thing to have, and they can also see a segue to another career, another thing that they can do once they leave an organizational environment. So that's another thing that I think is also very important, or we're seeing that happening. So I'm going to move. So I'm going to get into a little bit of, I'm going to get into some of the meat here. And again, as you heard me say, I'm a very big fan of the ICF, and I'm a very big advocate of these different credentials that you can get. And there's 3 of them that have been created, and they've evolved over a number of years. And the first one, as you can see, is the Associate Certified Coach Credential. The next one is the Professional Certified Coach Credential. And the third one is the Master Certified Coach one. And you can absolutely start at the beginning with the ACC credential. That's what most people do. Many people do. Some people wait, and they'll wait till they have achieved all the requirements of the PCC credential. But most people, they'll either get their ACC, as I call it, or their PCC. The Master Certified Coach one is there's quite a lot that you have to do or you have to have achieved a fair number of hours, which we'll get to in a moment. And so that one quite often will follow on after you've got your ACC or your PCC level. So I'm going to start with this one. And this one requires 60 hours of coach-specific training. Now, here's the thing, to just give a bit of a nuance to this. You can certainly have taken training that doesn't, excuse me, I want to step back for a second. There are different, what a number of programs have done is they've got themselves accredited by the ICF for their training programs, and that is called either ACSTH, Approved Coach Specific Training Hours, or Accredited Coach Training Program. And that means, what that means is that if you've taken a program that provides those already approved hours, then all you have to do is submit your documentation from the program that you took. And that can be part of your application for whatever certification you're going for, whatever credential you're going for. But so that makes it easier. However, that doesn't preclude if you've taken some other programs, but what it requires is robust documentation. And you'll see in a minute that anyway, you'll see in a minute when I talk about there's pricing and so on and so forth. But anyway, that to me is really important. So what they call that when you do that, when you haven't taken an already approved coach training, and you have to provide documentation, they call that, and you can apply via what they call the portfolio route. And again, we will be sending a link that you can see all that info there about it. And in this particular case, and you all can read slides, it wants you to have 100 hours of coaching. So you need the coach-specific training hours. You need to have documented 100 hours of coaching, and 75 can be paid. And what I want to say about that is that the ICF is silent in terms of how much you're supposed to be paid. And in fact, it can also be a barter type situation. So as long as there is an exchange of some kind of value that you can literally quantify, that's fine. But and it doesn't say exactly how much. But the key here is that 75 of those hours need to be paid. 25 can be completely pro bono, and that's very common when people are learning coaching, that they start off doing some pro bono coaching as they get their, what I call their coaching chops. And as you can see with 8 clients, and but here is really that I've highlighted this following the start of your coach specific training. That is new. They used to allow you to bring in all your hours from the past if you had any, but now they are quantifying it, that it has to be with at least 8 clients following the start of your coach specific training. And they've also mentioned that it's at least 25 must occur within the 18 months prior to submitting your application. So why they're doing that is that they want to make sure you're current, you're up to date on, and your experience, etc., is, you know, not from 20 years ago, for example. They want to know that you've been using your skills and you've been using whatever training you've had fairly recently before, like I said, within 18 months before submitting your application. They're also going to want you to complete the Coach Knowledge Assessment. And that is an online assessment that takes you through all of the competencies that the ICF has defined that a coach needs to have. And you'll go through that. There are a number of questions. And assuming you are, successful at it, then that will be great. And then in addition, for ACC level, you need to have had 10 hours of mentor coaching. So, and I'm just checking. Right, okay, I'm watching the questions. And then the cost, and I'm not going to go on too long about this. You'll see it. It's pretty obvious on the slide, and it varies depending on which way you're coming in. I also put in the review time because that can have an impact as well. And so, it's fairly quick if you've been through an approved program, as you can see, and it takes a lot longer if you're submitting via portfolio path. And the reason for that is they have to review your what we call your robust documentation. So that's also another reason why it takes a little bit longer. All right, so then I'm going to move into the PCC requirements. And that's the next level up. And so
that's the next level up. And you'll see that it's 125 hours. Again, I've laid it all out here. You will, if you're coming in via portfolio or the ACSTH route path, you will be required to do a performance evaluation via 2 audio recordings and written transcripts. So you'll be coaching someone, recording it, and choosing which one you want to submit and submitting that with your application. You will also complete the coach knowledge assessment. And again, you will need to document the 10, or you need to have evidence that you have completed 10 hours of mentor coaching when if you're the ACSTH or portfolio. Can you see why this can be a little confusing and why people are always asking questions? So I'm hoping that these slides will really support making it a little bit simpler to understand. And I can see somebody has asked a question, so I'm just going to look over at it. Yes, to the question about if if they're part of our fast track, they can use that time, and they can also use it if they've already taken their coach training, and they can also use it to support the mentor coaching hours, group mentor coaching hours. And so if any of you have taken it from me, please contact us and we can provide you with that letter. And then Royal Roads, if you've gone to Royal Roads University, that would work as the CEC, as the PCC level grad from the coach-specific training hour requirements. But again, you'll see the requirements for the length of the hours of coaching. So you'll also have to complete those others. So here's, in addition, this will fit to that last question, is that you're going to have to provide a coaching log demonstrating 500 hours of coaching experience. This is the PCC level now. $450 are paid, you can read the slide, with at least 25 clients. Remember, following the start of your coach-specific training. So remember, that's really important. That's a new requirement. And again, at least 50 of those hours must occur within the 18 months prior to submitting the application. So it's really, you got to really read that and think through what you've done and make sure that you can document that, and that the time frame works. Very, very important. Again, it's about timeliness, about ensuring you're up to date, etc., etc. The cost, again, it's all on the slides, and I've also put in the time to review so that you can have we used to have it, or at the ICF, I used to get calls from people saying, why have I not heard from them? And they never put in how long it was going to take. Thankfully, they're now putting in roughly, relatively closely, how long it's going to take. So there you've got that as well. What is the estimated time to review? So that's also, I think, helpful. And then for the MCC requirements, the Master Certified Coach requirements, and they changed that. They've reduced the coaching log hours that are required, which is, I think, makes it a little bit easier, because it can take a fair bit of time to get to this point. And they want you to have documented 200 hours of coach-specific training. So, because to become an MCC coach, it does take time, and part of that is you'll be taking on, you'll be finding different programs and things that you'll want to take to always be looking. In my experience, always be looking, do they provide approved hours? It just is easier when you go through this process. And so they want 200 hours for that. They will also want to hear your coaching, and they'll want to evaluate it. They want you also to complete the assessment, unless you've gone through where you started at ACC maybe, and you're moving up because you've been in coaching a while and you're adding to that. And they will also want you to have 10 hours of mentor coaching, 7 of which can be group, just as a clarification. And so I'm just going to stop for a second, and I want to just stop the share for a moment. Okay, so here we go. Just a second here. I want to see these questions. Yes. I'm happy to explain the mentor coaching right now. This is a requirement that they want to know that you've worked with a mentor coach. Now, what makes a mentor coach? What I would recommend is that you can go to the ICF website. Actually, I'm going to make a mentor coach list, and there is a list of mentor coaches right there on the website, and you can choose that. Now, here's a nuance to this. Remember, they said 10 hours. 7 of those can be group mentor coaching. So that's someone who's an experienced mentor coach who has mentored a number of coaches and is holding it in a group format. Why they're doing that, and it's important to know this, is it makes it a little bit more cost effective. So that so they're trying to ensure that people have relatively easy access to this. So so 7 can be group and 3 can be one-on-one. So that helps reduce the cost. We'll provide you with the link to the list of people who are mentor coaches, and it's on the website. So that hopefully that's answering your question. That's a great question, Keith. You're already, that's a great question. Do you have to work with an MCC? Not that I'm aware of, Keith. No, but you have to work with a mentor coach. Great question, though. That's the first time I've been asked that. This whole mentor coaching thing is relatively new in the last few years, and I haven't been asked that question. Although, Keith, what's the opportunity in working with a mentor coach, MCC mentor coach, perhaps? That might be a thought. Because of course they have more experience. And somebody said, what was the question that Keith asked? And Keith is already a PCC coach. And I'm sorry, I just got to scroll down here. Yeah, Keith is already a PCC coach, and he's already been mentoring people as well. But he's saying, do I have to work with an MCC mentor coach if I'm applying for my MCC credential? And so that's what that is about. And I said, as far as I know, no, that's not required. That is not, I have not heard of that yet. However, I'm throwing out to Keith, what is the opportunity in working with a MCC mentor coach? It might not be a bad idea. No. You will have, if you've done it, you won't be each time you go, if you go to the other levels. No, you've already passed that. No, it won't. Yeah, e.g., for example, I think it's John said you have to have 30 hours if you go up the different levels. No, you will already have documented that if you've gone through one of the other ones. Okay, Lori says I need a letter. So thanks, Lori. I think it's, if I think I know who this is, Lori, not to worry, we'll be providing you with a letter. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my screen. Hang on a second, and get back to the presentation. All right, so we've gone through all of that. And, oh, I forgot the cost for the MCC. There you go. And it does take a while, regardless of what way you've gone or whatever. It does take a while. It's the most rigorous, and it does take quite a while to get it. So right now, and I didn't check today, but I think now there are, it could be about 850 in the world. So it does take a while. I could be slightly off in that number, but it does take a while. And I, of course, am a big fan of it. I've had it since 1999, and I will tell you, it has also opened doors for me as well. But any of them will absolutely add to your credibility. So I think I mentioned how long it takes once you apply. So we've talked about that. But how long would it take? It depends. What are you taking? So for example, it could take from as short as about 6 months. That's what I've seen. But remember, in that 6-month period, if you're going for your first level, the ACC, in that 6-month period, you will have to have not only done at least the 60 hours of required coach-specific training, but you're also going to have also completed whatever level you're going for. In the ACC case, it's it's 100 hours, but then it changes when you go up to the different levels. And again, you can review these slides too. So it's going to depend. But generally speaking, so I would say realistically, the fastest possible would be 6 months. But remember, in that period of time, you're not only going to be taking some training, but you're also going to have to make sure that you're getting your coaching hours in. So you're going to have to be doing that during that time. So realistically, I would say, unless you're, maybe the ACC is possible, but the other levels are more challenging because of the length of time, the length of hours that you're going to need. So I would say that, you're going to be looking at a little longer stretch than that. Although if you can, as you saw what I said on some of the slides, it's, you can document some of your hours that you've done previously as long as it's within an 18-month period and it's a certain amount. So that's the thing you're going to have to analyze. And I know myself, when I was going through my whole process, I was like a dog with a bone, intent on getting my certification as soon as I possibly could. So I was watching it. And by the way, for those in our fast track program, we've provided you with a ICF log to document your coaching hours, but you can also, my big recommendation to anybody on this webinar is document your hours. Document who you're coaching, their contact information. You're going to have to get their permission as well to do that. But document, document, document. I can't tell you how many people I've had calls from who didn't. And they're tearing their hair out trying to recreate who they coached, when they coached, how long they coached, etc., etc. So that is very important. The other thing is that, I'm just checking my questions. Okay. And then the other thing is, how much will it cost? Great question. It can vary. And you'll see there's loads of different programs out there that you can take, and they can vary in price. Some are, I've seen some as much as $30,000, for example. And I want you to think about, and that's, many of them are very good programs. Some are $10,000, some are $15,000. It varies. And some are much less. And so I think it's really important. And this is I want to talk a little bit more about this. And I just want to flip here for a second into something that I wanted to get in front of me while I'm talking to you. And that is, what is it you're wanting to do here? I want you to think about that. What is it you're wanting to do? So let me just stop that and talk more directly. Just a second here. I want you to think about, what is it you're wanting to achieve here? And it's really important because, my goodness, I think there's fabulous trainings out there. I feel we do great trainings too. And the thing is, what is going to have you get where you want to get? In other words, when you've taken your coach training, you want to think about that you want to end up saying, this was really worth my time. I'm really happy I did this, and this is helping me. And here's something that I've learned. The client really, as long as they know you have credibility and you have a certification, in my experience, doesn't really particularly go into, well, what were your marks? If you got marks in some of your coach training, where did you go? They're just happy that they know you've got a particular credential, and that when you're interacting with them, that you are providing value. That is really bottom line. And so for some of you, you may want to, we have a number of people who we have delivered some of our trainings in organizations, because more and more organizations are wanting to have their leaders and managers be more what I'm going to call coach-like. They're not necessarily all needing to be certified, but they want them to be more coach-like so that they can leverage coaching skills in the work that they do. So those people, they're not particularly necessarily concerned. Some are deciding, once they do some of that, hey, I want to get a credential. I want to get I want to get a ICF credential. And so then they will invest in additional training. And then some will say, no, I don't see the need. So it's really important for you to think, what is it that what is it that is going to have it work for you? Why are you wanting this? What is it going to do for you? And I'm going to be creating my own coaching business, my own coaching services business. I want to really strengthen my resume in my organization. I mean, really think about that, and think about, all right, so what am I prepared to invest? And like I said, you can go the whole gamut of amounts of money that you can spend, and so many different approaches and so many different styles. But bottom line, and this is another perspective that I'm going to share with you, bottom line, do you know how to coach? And I found in my experience, sometimes some programs can get a little carried away with throwing in all kinds of other things. Not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying they lose a bit of sight about really, first of all, ensuring that you know how to coach, that they've really touched on the competencies of coaching. That you're comfortable, that you're confident when you're having conversations with people, that you know how to coach. And the other thing that I'm going to say about this is, yeah, many people will say, well, I want to get my MCC. It takes a long time. You cannot necessarily, you can do this over time as well. And you may find that as you're growing as a coach, as you're doing this more and more, that you might decide, oh, I think I want to do this, or I think I want to do that. But you've got a foundation. You know how to coach. And you can do many of these other things. Not saying that the other things aren't great and can't be great, can't be really helpful, but really think about this. The other thing I want to say is, how much time can you, aside from the financial, how much time do you want to, can you invest in this? So think about that. How much time per week or per month, whatever, can you take to learning this, to putting in the time to complete whatever the program is that you're going to take? Think about that. And okay. And so I think that I've also got a lovely tip that unfortunately people cannot see the questions in the chat. So there was a question about how, for the MCC level, there was a question that says, how recent does the mentor coaching need to be for MCC? And I see a lovely person who I recognize her name answered the question. And Lisa Martin, thank you so much for asking that question, and then Sandra responded with that there's no time requirement for the MCC, and you will see that when we send you the link to the information. And so she's answered that question. I think I don't have to read the answer, but I needed to say the question out loud. So hopefully that's clarified something there. And I'm just going to go back to, oh, yeah, it's been a while. Anyway, I can see somebody that I've met and is a very successful coach also. So great to see you here, Lisa. And nice to say hi too. And so I'm just going to go back to my screen. And so again, I think I've covered the what courses do I need. You're going to need to look at what the requirements are for what you're trying to do, what length of time you're prepared to spend, and what amount of money are you prepared to invest to decide what is going to be your right choice. But I will say my bias absolutely is whatever you do is take programs that already have approved coach specific training hours. It just makes life easier. And they've had to, and just so you know, any of those programs have had to go through a significant amount of rigor to achieve those approved hours, and they have to renew them. They have to demonstrate how their trainings are on an ongoing basis, so it's not just a one-time thing. And they have to also invest financial amounts of money to achieve that with the International Coach Federation as well. So I think we've covered this. Again, what I want you to think about here is go back to, because this is a common question, do previous courses training on the job coaching apply to the required hours? Now remember, when I was going through the different levels, it quantified how many need to be done from the time you started your training. And also, so it's really important to make sure you're clear about that, because if it fits within those time frames, plus the amount of hours you're supposed to provide, then you can use them. And the on-the-job, and here's the on-the-job piece that's important. If you are in a role in an organization, the critical piece here is that the person you report to, could they say that part of the requirements of your work is to coach, number one, so that you can count those as paid coaching hours, number one. Number two, it cannot be people that report directly to you if it's on the job coaching. So it cannot be people that report to you. It can be other people in the organization. And also, it can't be like, for example, 5-minute snippets here and there. It's got to be literally at least 30-minute time frames where you're coaching someone. And you make sure, of course, like I said before, that you document that you've done that. The name, the contact information, etc. So yeah, and so that it can count. And again, look to the requirements that I outlined at those various levels and see if any courses that you've taken fit within those time frames, and you'll be able to then figure it out. Okay, and I'm just double checking over to the side. No, I don't see any questions. I don't think I see any questions anyway at the moment. So great. And so let me just move a second here, and I'll just, so, all right. So now I just wanna stop for a second, and I want to just hang on a second. I want to stop for a second, and I want to just check in. What's missing? Because I really want this webinar to be worth your time. And some people will be reviewing this later, but I want it to be worth your time. And so what, if any, questions are still lingering before I move? Just giving it a moment here. The other thing that I do want to share here, and the blessing is that we're going to be providing you with a few links to information. And there's enormous amounts of information on the International Coach Federation website, and you can go through it. They even have video recordings, so that should be able to help you as well. You can also contact them. It can take a little bit to get back, for them to get back to you, but you can contact them with very great question, Sharon. Hi, Sharon. By the way, I recognize your name. That's a great question. What are good ways to find paid clients? All right. So I'll just be relatively brief, and Sharon, I'm happy to chat to you further. I know you had some questions a while ago. Remember, the ICF is silent on what you're supposed to charge. That's your right. So think about, as you're a new coach and you're growing as a coach, what's going to make it easy for you? So for example, when I first started coaching, I knew I had to get my coaching experience in, and quite frankly, I had no confidence and was kind of terrified. And so that's me. And even though I had business background and so on and so forth, when I first got into this, you'd think I knew nothing. And the beauty of coaching is that, just to remind anybody who's new to coaching, the beauty of coaching is that you can leverage everything you've ever learned, done, experienced in your entire life in coaching. So for those of you who, with various jobs and so on, you know, that you will be able to leverage all of that. You'll be able to leverage all of that experience. So think about who would you feel safe to start coaching with, and maybe charge them a very nominal amount of money. And you know, who's going to be someone that you would sort of feel, okay, I could take this on. And what do you need to say to them to kind of set yourself up for success? And that's a whole other webinar. But right now, I just want to throw that in. And so what I would look at is first your network. Who do you know? Who do you work with? Who are your, you know, people that you know in your community? And that's what I did. I targeted 5 people that I started. I suggested, would they be interested in having me coach them? And I explained I was in a training, I was taking coaching training, et cetera, et cetera. So they knew I was new. And that helped, and I provided it for a very, very nominal amount of money, because that made it easier for me. And so think about who is in your community. And then, great question, Darlene. You're coaching each other outside of the class. Some of that could be included. And there's more to that story. But you could include some of that. And so you could use that towards some unpaid hours. Yeah. Great question, Darlene, and nice to see you here as well. And I just see, I think I've got all of those. I think so, but I'm just going to double check. I think I've got it. Oh. Okay, Barry, what does it take to get started? I've got more than enough coaching hours for PCC. Oh, great, enjoyed this. The question is simply do it or not to do it. And I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, meaning go for the PCC, just decide, I guess, if I'm understanding you correctly. Of course, I can't really use, oh, I see, that was a question for yourself. Oh, so it's a comment. Do it, just do it, as they say. Good, it'll add to your credibility. All right, so just wanted to throw on, and because I'm doing a webinar, I want to just promote, obviously, at the very end, we have a fast track to ICF credential program that we have. It's 5 programs over 6 months. We have it starting February 1st. You can see the cost right here. There's payment. You can talk to us about it too with more questions. We'll send a link to the information, and we focus completely on developing your coaching skills. And we use a proven model that's been used with over 17,000 people, and we've presented findings of some of that. not our own findings, but external findings to Harvard Medical School Institute of Coaching last year on what happened as a result of that. We provide 60 ICF approved coach-specific training hours, plus 7 hours of group coaching, group mentor coaching. You will still need to get 3 hours of one-on-one mentor coaching, and you will have to have 100 hours of coaching documented, and successful completion of the coach knowledge assessment, which we prepare you for in the program. So if you're interested, please let us know. We'll send a link for that information. And I'm just going to move along here. And we do give a special coupon code for that, so you can receive a discount on it as well. So if that fits for you, please, we'd love to have you. Our classes are all virtual, and we have people taking our classes from all over the place. So you'll meet a really neat and interesting mix of people. So I'm just looking at our time. Oh, I still got a little bit of time, so that's great. So what, if anything else, can I answer for you? Few more questions, maybe. Well, and I guess I can just throw in the benefit of our program is it's virtual. You can take it on a robust learning platform. All of the classes are recorded, so if you have to miss only the occasional class, you will be able to review. You'll always also be able to review anyway, because you can catch it. And you spend approximately, it varies, but it's roughly an hour and a half on the classes per week. Some weeks it might be 3 hours because there might be 2, just the way the classes are scheduled. And you'll probably spend approximately 2 to 3 hours a week reading the materials or practicing your coaching and so on. And we love doing it, and we have excellent trainers that are delivering our programs as well. Of course, I'm going to say that, but I'm passionate about coaching, so I've wanted to create so many different ways that people can learn these fabulous, powerful, important skills. And let me just share one last thing, because this is what came out of the external organization who assessed what was happening as a result of people learning coaching skills. What if, in any case, you had improved listening? The people that you worked with had improved listening, improved communication, improved ability to give feedback, improvement in conflict resolution, positively impacted relationships, improvement in team dynamics and team communication, and finally, increased ability to engage in conversations that are solutions focused and promote accountability. That's what coaching does. And that is why I'm so passionate about it. So I just want to thank everybody for attending. And I really, really appreciate these fabulous questions. And like I say, we'll be following up with links, et cetera, and just way to go, everybody, in your coaching. And feel free, I love talking to people about coaching, so I'm happy to chat further. And thank you so much for everybody coming to this webinar today. Okay, bye-bye. Oh yeah, I've got a few resources on this slide. I forgot about that. And there's my big passion, and many others as well. So you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stop. All right. Bye-bye.